I gratefully accept myself at this age, an age that has become not a burden, but a special gift. I have discovered a depth that was unavailable in youth. I see the world more broadly, feel more subtly, perceive more gently. Each year I have lived has given me not only memories, but also inner knowledge of what is important and what is merely noise. I no longer live in a rush, nor chase what brings no true satisfaction. Now I allow myself to prioritize what truly matters to me: inner peace, warm connections, sincere conversations, moments of quiet joy, the opportunity to feel that life still pulses within me. I do not judge myself by my years, I see myself through wisdom. The years have made me more mature, but no less alive. They have taught me to accept change, to understand that moving forward does not always mean speed. Sometimes it means inner growth, a deeper perspective, patient treatment of oneself. I allow myself to be myself without justification and without fear of being not young enough or not active enough. My value is not in what I do, but in who I am. And I am a person who has lived enough to know that every stage has its gifts. I feel a foundation of calm within me. It was not given to me at birth. It was created by me through experience, through mistakes, through joyful events, through losses, through all those moments that shaped my soul. I have learned to accept myself, my reactions, my weaknesses. I have learned to forgive, let go, trust, choose. And today I see that this path was not in vain. It has led me to the inner maturity that allows me to face life confidently, unafraid of change. I allow myself to feel calm even in moments of uncertainty. I know that everything I have experienced has prepared me not to get lost in the face of new challenges. I know I can rely on myself. My intuition has become sharper, my decisions clearer, my heart wiser. I no longer react impulsively. I feel, analyze, inhale, and only then respond. My inner world has become a space where there is no need to rush, where I can weigh, feel, and listen to myself. I allow myself to appreciate the little things: the smell of morning coffee, the rustle of leaves underfoot, a gentle ray of sun on my face, the silence that quiets the mind. I no longer let these moments pass me by. I see them, I feel them, I fill myself with them. I know that happiness is not in scale, but in the ability to pause and feel, and I allow myself to pause. I allow myself to feel love for life, for myself, for the people around me. My heart has not become less capable of loving with age. On the contrary, it has become deeper, more patient, more tender. I accept my relationships as they are, sometimes quiet, sometimes warm, sometimes challenging, but all of them are part of my path. I accept that some have left, some have arrived, some have stayed, and I understand that every encounter had meaning. I allow myself to take care of myself. This is not selfishness, it is respect for my own life. I listen to my body and give it what it needs: rest, tenderness, movement, nourishment, warmth. I listen to my soul and give it what feeds it: silence, calm, inspiration, creativity, curiosity. I am not obliged to be strong always. I have the right to be tired, sad, quiet. But I also have the right to be joyful, inspired, open, and I allow myself all these states without judgment. I allow myself to understand that life is not a race, but a journey, and my journey is not over. It has new turns, new experiences, new discoveries. I allow myself to be curious about the world, even if sometimes I feel it has changed too quickly. I allow myself to learn new things, not because I must, but because I can. My ability to change is still with me. I am still open to life. I allow myself to dream. Dreams have no age. They are the breath of the soul.
and I feel desires coming alive in me again, to see something new, to feel something warm, to try something different. Perhaps I once thought that certain things were not for my age, but now I see that these are only boundaries created by thoughts. I allow myself to live without these boundaries. I fully accept myself in my present state, at my present age, in my present body, in my present desires. And along with this acceptance, a new, quiet, yet strong inner movement is born within me.
This inner movement grows, becoming more tangible, almost physically perceptible. It does not push me forward, does not force me to move faster. It simply guides me gently. I feel clarity arising in my thoughts, clarity that was once lacking. In the past, I often hesitated, doubted, feared taking the wrong step. Now I understand. There are no wrong steps, only steps that lead to experience. And this experience, accumulated over the years, has turned into an inner compass that quietly but confidently shows the way. I allow myself to trust my own feelings. They have become wiser, purer, more precise. I can sense what I need and what is unnecessary. I can say yes and I can say no without fear of offending, disappointing, or seeming awkward. I allow myself to set boundaries, not to isolate, but to protect what is important to me. My life has become simpler since I stopped trying to please everyone. Now I try to please only myself, not out of selfishness, but out of respect. I discover a new kind of confidence within myself, not one that manifests in loudness or assertiveness, but quiet, mature confidence. It needs no proof. It does not shout. It simply is. It was born from what I have lived through, from losses, victories, changes. I no longer need to convince the world of my value. I know it. And this inner confidence becomes the foundation of my peace. I allow myself to feel that my life still has direction, movement, possibilities. I no longer perceive age as a limitation. It is only a way of understanding time. I am not aging, I am evolving, and each stage of my life holds something new for me. I feel my inner space expanding, giving room for thoughts that once hesitated to emerge. I allow myself to think about the future without fear. I allow myself to plan, dream, and create desires. I begin to see myself as a person who has already done much, yet is still capable of new discoveries. I am not a finished chapter. I am a story continuing. And this thought fills me with quiet inspiration. I feel that I can find in each day something that brings me joy. A new book, a walk, a conversation, a thought, a discovery, a small ritual, a moment worth remembering. I allow myself to be attentive to these moments. I allow myself to accept help when I need it. This is not weakness, this is wisdom. I know that self-sufficiency does not always mean doing everything alone, and I allow myself this gentleness to be open to care, love, support. The people around me are not accidental. Some appeared to teach me tenderness, some to show strength, some to remind me I am not alone. I allow myself to accept these gifts. I release the illusion that life must look a certain way. I no longer compare myself to others. My path is unique, and I am grateful for it. I allow myself to be proud of what I have gone through. Even if something was difficult, even if something failed, it has all become part of my inner structure. I have become who I am because of this experience, and I value myself for it. I allow myself to be in the present moment. There is no need to live in the past or fear the future. There is now, and now I have the opportunity to breathe, observe, feel, be. I do not rush. I allow myself to enjoy the process. I allow myself to see beauty in the simple, in nature, in people, in my home, in myself. And this ability to see beauty makes me happier.
I discover a new tenderness toward myself. I no longer scold myself for mistakes or for days when I do not want to do anything. I allow myself rest. I allow myself pauses. I allow myself time. There is no longer room in my life for exhausting self-criticism. I am learning to be my own friend. I am learning to speak kind words to myself, to soothe myself, to support myself. And I feel how this changes my inner state. I allow myself to accept the world as it is. I do not try to control it. I do not fight what I cannot change. I choose peace over struggle. I choose wisdom over haste. I choose depth over superficiality. And this choice makes my life easier. I open myself to new possibilities. I allow myself to try new, interesting, unusual things. Perhaps what I once avoided will now become a source of joy. I allow myself to experiment with thoughts, habits, desires. I allow myself to be open to change, and I see that these changes can be good. I allow myself to believe that much good still lies ahead. My days can be full of meaning, inspiration, warmth. I can create a life that is gentle, calm, and fulfilling. I allow myself this life. I allow myself to move towards it at my own pace. And along with this belief, an even deeper sense of inner strength is born within me.
This strength that is born within me is felt not as tension or pressure, but as a soft, deep core inside. It is a strength that does not shout about itself, yet it is impossible to overlook. It manifests in my ability to accept what comes and let go of what leaves. It manifests in my calm perspective on the world, in the confidence that life never takes without giving something in return. I no longer fear change. I see it as a natural movement of being, a wave that lifts me up rather than drags me down. I allow myself to feel this inner strength in every little detail, in how I wake up in the morning knowing that this day belongs to me, in how I listen to myself without rushing to conclusions, in how I treat people with respect while maintaining my dignity. I allow myself to be a person who no longer needs external validation. I know who I am, and this knowledge is enough. I allow myself to remember that true strength is not in never weakening, but in rising after falls. I have risen many times. There were periods when it seemed I could not get through difficulties, yet I did. There were moments when life tested me excessively, yet I found the ability to keep moving forward. And now, looking back, I see that it was precisely these moments that shaped the resilience from which my peace today comes. I allow myself to be proud of myself. This is not pride, it is gratitude for my own path. I have gone through difficult stages, and I am still here, still capable of loving life, feeling warmth, seeing light. I allow myself to acknowledge my achievements without diminishing them or comparing them to others. My life is unique, my lessons are singular, my path is special, and I respect this path. I allow myself to release the burdens of the past. I no longer take responsibility for what has already happened. I do not hold on to resentments that only poison the soul. I do not mentally return to events that hurt to relive the wound. I'm learning to let go. It is not easy, but each small step I take in this direction brings inner relief. I allow myself to forgive, not because others always deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. I allow myself to see myself not only through the prism of roles I have played in life: father, mother, friend, partner, worker, mentor. Yes, I have been all of these, and each role had its beauty and challenges. But today, I see myself as a person, not limited by roles. I see myself as a soul that feels, grows, lives, discovers, dreams. My personality exists beyond any social role, and I allow myself to feel this breadth. I allow myself to be honest with myself. I can acknowledge what concerns me, what unsettles me, what brings me joy. I can speak the truth to myself without fear.
At the same time, I can accept this truth with tenderness. I do not have to be perfect. I do not have to be strong always. I can make mistakes, feel sadness, feel fatigue. But these states are not my enemies. They are parts of me that simply want to be heard. I allow myself to view my life as a story where every chapter was necessary. Some were difficult, some bright, some unexpected, but no part was superfluous. Without what I have experienced, I would not be who I am today. And when I reflect on this, a sense of gratitude arises in me, not for all events, but for the lessons they brought. My experience is not a burden, it is my wisdom. I allow myself to open to new relationships, new acquaintances, new forms of interaction. I do not confine myself to what I already know. I do not think it is too late for new connections. Life continues, and it can bring me warm, bright, sincere encounters. I allow myself to trust people, but no longer at the cost of myself. I allow myself to receive from relationships not only duties, but also joy, ease, and support. I allow myself to be present in my body, even if it is changed. I see these changes not as a loss, but as natural traces of a lived life. My body is a book, on the pages of which my story is written, and I treat it with respect. I do not demand more from it than it can give. I listen to its needs without forcing it. I allow myself to move at its pace. I allow myself to care for it with love. I allow myself to live in the present while not losing curiosity about the future. There is still much ahead, not necessarily loud, but important, gentle, real. I allow myself to imagine this future: calm mornings, special meetings, new passions, warm conversations, discoveries that arrive unexpectedly, moments that expand horizons. I allow myself to believe that life still has space for joy. I allow myself to not rush to conclusions. Life is not finished, it is simply entering a new phase. And this phase can be as full as all the previous ones, and sometimes even deeper. In this phase, I can be more myself than ever. I can listen to myself more. I can value simple things more. I can live not to meet others' expectations, but to be in harmony with myself. And along with this acceptance, this inner strength, this wisdom, I begin to notice new horizons.
These new horizons do not appear suddenly or loudly. They are like morning light gradually dispersing the fog. I feel that my life is beginning to open from a new side, as if I am standing at the threshold of another chapter, waiting for me to enter with the wisdom I have gained throughout life. These horizons do not promise wild adventures, though they may come. They promise depth, calm, and a natural forward movement, a movement that aligns with my inner pace. I allow myself to see opportunities where I once saw only limitations. Perhaps it is a shift in consciousness, perhaps a sign of acceptance, perhaps a new inner freedom I feel. But I see that even in ordinary things, there is novelty if I look at them differently. Even in simple moments, there is wonder if I allow myself to feel it. And it is this discovery that makes my gaze significantly brighter. I allow myself to be curious about new things, even if they seem unusual or slightly frightening. The world changes quickly, but I do not have to catch up with it. I can find my place within these changes. I can learn at my own rhythm, discover at my own pace. I can allow myself to feel that age is not an obstacle to growth. My mind is still capable of perceiving the new. My soul is still capable of being inspired. My heart is still capable of opening. I allow myself to be flexible, not in the sense of adapting to everyone, but in the sense of an inner ability to change direction if it no longer serves me. I no longer cling to what does not bring joy. I no longer hold on to what has lost its meaning. I allow myself to choose what supports me and set aside what burdens me. And in this choice, I feel a new lightness. I allow myself to feel inspired, even when outwardly it seems there is no special reason.
Sometimes inspiration comes quietly, through a melody that plays by chance, through the scent of the air after rain, through words read in a book, through an encounter that leaves a warm trace in the heart. I notice these moments. I do not let them pass. I allow them to live within me. They remind me that life always has something pleasant for those who are ready to receive it. I allow myself not to rush with expectations. I no longer demand that life be perfect. And in this acceptance, I find a tremendous reserve of calm. I can allow myself to be grateful even for imperfection, because it is precisely imperfection that makes my story authentic. I allow myself to see beauty in naturalness, in simple movements, in honest thoughts. I allow myself to support myself rather than criticize. Previously, I often said to myself, I should have done better. It could have been different. Why didn't I do it this way? Now I understand that these words do not lead to growth. They only drain my energy. I allow myself to speak differently to myself. I did as I could. I am learning. I am growing. I am walking my own path. And these words become a new inner support for me. I allow myself to care for my inner space. I feel how important it is to create in my life a place for silence, reflection, and rest. I no longer need to fill every minute. I can allow myself a pause, and in this pause I find much: answers, calm, balance. I allow myself to be in a state where I feel well. I allow myself to remember that my age is not a diminishment but an expansion of understanding, compassion, and acceptance. I no longer strive to prove my value. I know it. I am not afraid to be myself. I am comfortable in my own skin. I am not afraid to follow my path. I already know it will lead me where I need to be. I allow myself to accept the world with kindness, even if it is sometimes harsh. I know that kindness does not make me weak, it makes me wise. I allow myself to invest my warmth in this world, even if I do not always see immediate return. My words, my actions, my presence matter. I carry within me experience that is valuable, and I share it when appropriate. I allow myself to feel safety, not external safety, but inner safety, the kind that arises when I trust myself, my path, my life. I know that I can overcome whatever comes my way. I know that I am strong enough to face difficulties and wise enough to find a way through. This inner security allows me to relax and feel harmony. I allow myself to be happy. It is a simple but important decision. I can feel joy without a reason. I can laugh even if the day is difficult. I can find light even if around me it is darker than I would like. This light lives within me, and I allow it to shine. I allow myself to go where I feel good. I allow myself to create a life in which I feel inner harmony. I allow myself to breathe fully, to feel deeply, to be present.
This new meaning does not come in a single, sudden revelation. It forms gradually, like an ear of grain sprouting through the soil. First invisible, only as a sense of movement inside, then in the form of small thoughts that appear unexpectedly and linger longer than others. I begin to realize that meaning is not in clinging to the past or trying to reclaim what has already ended. Meaning is in the ability to see new value in each stage of life. And now, in this temporal space where I am, I see much that is valuable. I allow myself to feel that my life continues, even if it is not as I once imagined. I allow myself to let go of the images of the future created in my youth when the world seemed endless and possibilities boundless. Now I see possibilities are still limitless, but they have changed form. They have become quieter, deeper, warmer. Now my possibilities lie not in great shifts, but in inner discoveries, in new tenderness toward myself, in a new understanding of the world. I allow myself to find meaning in small. This new meaning does not come in a single, sudden revelation. It forms gradually, like an ear of grain sprouting through the soil, first invisible, only as a sense of movement inside, then in the form of small thoughts that appear unexpectedly and linger longer than others. I begin to realize that meaning is not in clinging to the past or trying to reclaim what has already ended. Meaning is in the ability to see new value in each stage of life. And now, in this temporal space where I am, I see much that is valuable. I allow myself to feel that my life continues, even if it is not as I once imagined. I allow myself to let go of the images of the future created in my youth when the world seemed endless and possibilities boundless. Now I see possibilities are still limitless, but they have changed form. They have become quieter, deeper, warmer. Now my possibilities lie not in great shifts, but in inner discoveries, in new tenderness toward myself, in a new understanding of the world. I allow myself to find meaning in small things, in quiet mornings when I wake without rush, in evenings when I can immerse myself in memories, but without pain, only with warmth. In conversations where I listen more than I speak, catching the deeper shades of thought. In walks where step by step I feel my body and the ground beneath my feet. In each such moment I find the meaning of life, not loud, but honest. I allow myself to live with a sense of fullness that requires no external proof. The fullness of life now comes not from achievements or successes, but from inner contact with myself. I can sit in silence and feel it calming me. I can read a book and feel the words touching me. I can look out the window and simply be. And this being carries more meaning than any hurried actions. I allow myself to find new meaning in relationships, in those that remain and in those that may appear. I can be closer to the people I value. I can speak warm words to them that I previously did not have time for or dared not say. I can show my love not through grand gestures, but through small attentions. I allow myself to be open, even if it once scared me. Meaning often arises where there is closeness, sincere, gentle, without demands. I allow myself not to demand excess from myself. I no longer live by I must. I live by I want and it suits me. I am not obliged to meet others' expectations. I am not obliged to conform to the images by which I was once expected to be seen. I can allow myself to be authentic, and it is in this authenticity that meaning is born, because true life is always deeper than imagined. I allow myself to feel that my wisdom is needed in this world, not always loudly, not always visibly, but needed. I can offer understanding where someone is lost. I can provide support where someone lacks strength. I can speak quiet words that give hope. I allow myself to see the power in my presence. I do not need to do something grand. Sometimes it is enough simply to be. I allow myself to reinterpret my past without judgment. I can recall events that were difficult and notice that they made me resilient. I can recall joys and see that they left warmth that still lives within me. I can recall losses and understand that they taught me to value what exists. My past does not define me, but it has shaped the depth I possess now. I allow myself to be gentle with myself during changes. I do not need to demand constant decisiveness or strength from myself. I can be calm, I can be slow, I can be attentive to myself. Changes need not be painful. They can be natural if I allow them to come at my own pace, and I allow this pace to be exactly as I feel. I allow myself to create my own new rituals of meaning. These can be a few quiet minutes in the morning, a cup of tea sipped slowly, written thoughts that help me understand myself better, a walk that clears the mind. Small, quiet, but important actions that make life more meaningful.
I allow myself to build these rituals, for they return me to myself. I allow myself to see that my path continues. I do not view my life as a completed cycle. It continues, simply in a different direction. I allow myself to be a student of life at any age. My heart is still capable of learning. My soul is still capable of feeling the new. My mind is still capable of finding answers. I allow myself to accept meaning not as something external, but as something that arises from within. I no longer search for a grand purpose. I find small purposes in each day, and this discovery fills me with gratitude. I allow myself to look ahead with gentle faith, not with anxiety, not expecting difficulties, but with the conviction that whatever comes, I can live through it with dignity. My inner world has become stable, clear, bright, and I feel that I can move forward.
And along with this new understanding, I begin to feel faith being born deeply within me. Not the kind of faith that requires proof or confirmation, but a quiet inner knowing that simply exists. I feel the strength to move forward living within me, even if the path is not always clear. In my heart, I have the ability to accept life as it is, while also finding ways to make it warmer and easier for myself. This faith is not loud or intrusive. It is calm, confident, like soft light shining through the morning fog. I allow myself to believe that my future days can be good, not because I deserve it or must have it, but because life always offers opportunities to those who have learned to see them. I allow myself to open to new joys, even if they seem small, for it is from such small things that great inner happiness is formed. I allow myself to feel lightness even in difficult moments, because I know within me there is support, experience, wisdom that will help me through everything. I allow myself to believe in people, in the goodness that exists in the world, even if sometimes hidden, in the honesty that comes from those who live from the heart, in love that can arise at any age and at any time. I do not close myself off from the world. I open to it in a new way. I allow myself to build warm relationships, to support those I care about, and to accept their support in return. I allow myself to be part of the human warmth that exists regardless of age. I allow myself to believe in my ability to learn. It does not matter how old I am, life can always teach me something new. I can acquire new skills, try new hobbies, explore new ideas. My mind has not closed, it has simply become more selective, and that is good. I learn at a pace that suits me. I receive information in a way that feels natural, and each new discovery makes me more alive, attentive, and wise. I allow myself to dream. Yes, even now, dreams have no age. They are not limited by years. They are limited only by how much I allow myself to embrace them. I dream of simple things, warm days, pleasant encounters, moments of calm, new emotions that open the heart. Perhaps my dreams are not as loud as they once were in youth, but they have become deeper. They are now more about the state of the soul than about achievement, and these are the truest dreams. I allow myself to be grateful. Grateful for the path I have already walked, for the people I have met, for the lessons I have received, even those that came through pain. Gratitude does not erase difficulties, but it fills me with the strength to view life with clarity. I am grateful for moments of joy, for small gifts of fate, for quiet evenings that allowed me to gather my thoughts. Gratitude makes my heart warmer and my mind more flexible. I allow myself to be kind to myself. I understand that no one can be perfect. I acknowledge my mistakes, but do not judge myself for them. I allow myself to move forward without the burden of self-criticism. I look at myself with acceptance, the kind that was once hard to find. I allow myself to be human,
sometimes strong, sometimes vulnerable, sometimes decisive, sometimes gentle. In this lies the naturalness of life. I allow myself to see beauty where I once passed by, in the evening sky turning golden, in the taste of tea sipped in silence, in the warm touch of a loved one's hand, in the scent of nature after rain, in the smile I receive in return. Life is made up of such moments, and I allow myself to notice them, appreciate them, and hold them in my heart. This is true wealth. I allow myself to stop fearing time. Previously, it seemed to me like a taker. Now I see time is a giver. It has given me maturity. It has given understanding. It has given the ability to see essence. It has given the capacity to love more deeply than before. It has given value to every moment. I no longer fight with time. I walk alongside it in peace, and this brings me inner freedom. I allow myself to accept my life as a whole story, with light and shadow, with victories and mistakes, with joys and losses. Every page of this story has been important, and I accept it as it is. I allow myself to look at my life with love, without regret, without judgment, without attempts to rewrite the past. I accept it as the path that has led me to exactly who I am today. I allow myself to believe that many bright moments still lie ahead, much warmth, many encounters, many reasons to smile. My days are not finished, they continue, revealing their quiet yet beautiful horizons, and I am ready to embrace them. I allow myself to live with a heart full of love, love for life, love for people, love for myself. I do not wait for perfect conditions to feel it. I create it within myself. My love requires nothing but honesty. And now, having learned to be honest with myself, I can love the world even more deeply. I allow myself to live in peace with my own history, with my own path, with my own present. I allow myself to live in harmony I create from within. I allow myself to move forward with ease and trust. And now, completing this 7-part journey, I feel, I live, I feel, I grow, I am open, I am valuable, I am calm, and my life continues in light.